All right. So today we will learn about Knitter. Knitter is a very easy way in within our studio and within R to be able to create reports. So most likely in whatever job and whatever you use R programming for, you will at some point in your work you will have to create reports or PDF files where you want to share your results with your team, your coworkers or clients and things like that. So you'll have to share your code as well as results. So Knitter is an easy way to combine um, all your code, your results, and your plots, and embed your code within your document and directly have it as an output. So this output format can be anything. It can be an HTML document. It can be .html file, which means you can upload it to a website and it should still work. So most times what happens is for contractors or clients whom we use statistical help for, they create a report like this at the end of their work. They either have their secure website where they provide a login for their clients and they upload all their work into that website. So in that case, you will want to create HTML documents. But most likely, if you want to create research reports or scientific reports, you will need Word or PDF formats. So Knitter is can create one of those formats, can create any one of those formats, and you will write in you will write within Knitter. You will write your code in something called R Markdown. So Markdown is a type of language. It's also similar to HTML. It has a lot of similarities to HTML, and it helps you to embed your code, to embed your results, and to have your reports nicely printed out along with your text. You can have your code, you can have your results of the code, you can have your plots all embedded into one nice document. So Knitter was started and it was published by a man named Yehu Yehu Z, and he has some materials here. All these websites are included here. You can go to this. He has a book which I have a link over here, and he has a blog too. So he has a lot of articles on Knitter, and Knitter is something that's being more widely used nowadays to be able to create. So before Knitter, there was a language called LaTeX. I don't know if many of you have worked on it, but there was LaTeX, and it is a very complicated. It has a very steep learning curve to be able to adapt to getting those formats right in LaTeX. So LaTeX has been a choice of code and language to be able to write and produce scientific documents or papers or research papers. So that was once upon a time, but later on there are a lot of other tools that have come up, and so for us, Knitter still uses LaTeX within the background, but you don't have to worry about coding in LaTeX. So again, the same thing that I've just told you about. The LaTeX was a premier scientific writing tool, and within our studio, within Knitter, we call something called as SWeave. SWeave kind of takes LaTeX and it weaves with text and data and plots and everything else. You can embed results of your code too. So you can create an HTML output, you can create PDF, you can create Word documents. So without further delay, let's go into knitter details. So I hope you have done install these two in your RStudio. I'm hoping people did this already. If not, just type it in the chat window. If not, yes, okay, all right. So, all right, okay. So let's look at our very first example. So I want you to, in this class, I want you to yourself create a knitted document so that in your second assignment, all right. So in your second document, so latex is not needed for installation for, if you want to create the HTML and Word documents, but if you want to create a PDF, latex will be needed, but if you have a previous version, that's still going to be fine. All right, so let's create our first document. I want you to play with it now so that I'm going to give you a second assignment which you have to use Knitr, put all your code and plots into Knitr, and then submit an output from Knitr so that you will get to practice reporting using Knitr. So before creating your very first Knitr document, you have something called as global options in your RStudio. So let's go to tools over here. You have global options here. And then if you look at all the left hand side, there are lots of options over here. And there is something called as SVeeve. So click on the SVeeve and you will find weave RNW files using I selected Knitr, but yours will, if you have not used it, you will be stuck at SVeeve. So change that to Knitr and say apply and OK. So what we are saying is we are asking, so SVeeve is one of the functionality within RStudio and where it takes latex for PDF and it integrates with the Knitr code. So just make that setting right over here before we start, and then let's open our first script. So you have the file on the file menu on the top here. You have something called as R script, R notebook, R markdown, Shiny web app, and others. So here you might want to open R markdown. So you can either go here or open this graphical part. So if you click the graphical page and with the plus sign over here, you have these options. So you can directly open R markdown from here. So it's asking you for a title. So I'm going to say my first Knitr document and change your author name. And first we will try HTML. So there are different outputs here. So if you had installed the Mictex latex file, the link that I sent you, if you have installed latex from there, then this option will show up for you, the PDF. Or if you had like the other versions, the Mactex will also, this option will show up, the PDF as an output. But right now, let's try with HTML as the output. So click that and say OK. So it's a pre-formatted document that you will see open up. So I want you to take a minute and just open that, everyone, and let me know in the chat box whether you have opened your first Knitr document. So you'll have to, okay. So you'll have to open up R markdown, change the title, change the author. Good. All right. So here, as you can see, the very first, you have the title, you have the author, you have date, and you have an output format. So each one in this stands for something. Like if you have ever worked with HTML files, you will see that in the HTML files there is a header h1 something like this. So HTML always starts with these this greater than, lesser than. They are called HTML tags. So this is what you will see when you write HTML code. But right now we are doing our markdown. So in our markdown, this double hash is similar to a heading or a h2 tag in HTML, which means it's just marking different header size to mark it, to mark the title or the headers in a different size, bold it, emphasize it, and separate it from the rest of the text. So when we run this, when the output comes out, it'll be much more clear. But let's go into what I have on my slides. All right, so okay, so we'll just work with the first part of the code here. So what you have here is a set of setup or global options variables. So I'll tell you what these ticks mean, but just let's skip this for now and let's go to this part. So here, double hash, again, it's marking the header. It's calling it our markdown, but maybe we can change this to, we are trying to type, we are trying to make a research article or a scientific research article. So let's type introduction or abstract, or usually what you have in papers, right? So, and then change all this. So whatever you, if you had, once you create your first markdown or markdown file, this type of template is going to show up. It's just a template, and you can play with this template to see what you want to change. Some of it are already mentioned in this template. So let me just write, instead of this, you can of course include links over here, but I'm just going to write, this is my first knitr R markdown file, and I'm going to keep the link as it is, and let's just go and save this. All right, so I saved it now, and I'm just going to run it. So every section in your RStudio, you will find that this section is gray, and you have certain buttons over here. You can modify the options. You can run certain chunks. So whatever code you write within this document, you write it in these small chunks. So this is one small chunk, so you can test this code by hitting the run over here. And since this is just the option, you can actually open your console and see that that's particular line is run. And I have my introduction, and this is just the text. So this part is just the text. You can write a bunch of text and then have another code. I have here another piece of code, and I have summary of cars. So you can run this part, and it's going to run and display my results over here. It's going to run and display my results even in the console even in the console. So you have a little X button here to clear the output and show in a new window. So you can clear the output and you have some more bunch of text and you have some more code. So you write your code in these three backticks. So you have two ways to write your code. You can either write a one-liner or you can write a chunk of code. Here, if you have more than one lines, you can write set them apart, have these three backticks, and wherever you write your R code, you start with these three backticks, and once you finish with your code, you end with these three backticks. And right after the three backticks, the start of the code, you have these flower brackets. You have to write R, which means you're specifying which language of code you're using. And here I have you can name that particular chunk. You can name it. Here I named it setup, and for my next chunk it'll be a different name. It's going to be cars, or you can just make up names like, summary of cars or some. So these are just your naming the chunks. So I'll show you in a bit why this is necessary. And another chunk I named it pressure. So this is something that R creates for you. I didn't really name it. This is just a template. So all these are automatically created for you. So you can change these, or you can remove everything and write your own code, or you can use the first one, change the names, change the code within this. So let's just run this document and see what we get. So in order to run this, you can either use this Control-Shift-K or knit document. You can either go to the file menu, click here, or within your RStudio you have this wool with needles symbol, and you have knit over there. So if you click the arrow beside it, you will have options whether you need to knit to a HTML, to a PDF, or a Word. I want to do a HTML. So let's just run that and see what you get. So right beside your console, I want you to look at this first. Right beside your console, you have another tab where your code runs, and then the output opens up as a different window. So this is what my code is publishing. So this is what my title is. That's my name, and have your date, and then introduction and abstract. And now you see that if I give the double hash over here, which I'm calling it within HTML like a header format, you are taking that, and so introduction or abstract is in a different format, or it's emphasized as a heading compared to the actual text. So you can write your text, and when it comes to here, which is, you see here are summary cars, right? So this wouldn't appear because this is just naming it and telling the knitter just to see that the next, whatever comes next, is our code. So this doesn't print out. Whatever is within the code chunk, that prints out. And so I have here, so that's my code, summary of cars, and the output is printed over here of the summary of the cars. So let's just go into plotting. Similarly, I just have a sectional heading and have some more text, and here is the code, which is doing a plot of pressure. So pressure is another data set within R, and so it's plotting the pressure. And so, but you see here, right after this text, I don't have that displayed, that code displayed. So this is the option for the code to be kept silent. So if you don't want the code to be printed in your document, you within the R chunk, the header of the R chunk, you display echo equals false. Or if you want the code by default, it's going to be printed. By default, echo is true. And if you want to change that, you can do echo equals false. So this line, plot pressure, will not be printed in your output. So you don't have that line, you directly have the plot. So, all right. So that's pretty much an introduction to Nitar. And let's just look at another option. I just have one more, which is the Word. So similarly, you can just press this one, convert it to PDF to Word. So PDFs, it uses LaTeX, so you should have the LaTeX included. And okay, so now I get it. So within your PDF file, so this is your PDF file, and you can save it, or it's directly saved in the folder where you are running it from. So all the sections, the introduction and include plots, will be included here as labels, and you can directly go to that part of the PDF if you click it over here. So that's the PDF output. We have looked at HTML output. And let's look at Word output. So it says it's created a Word output, and my Word pops up. So it creates for you this beautiful file, and you can either, if you don't want to install LaTeX, if you have this Word document, then you could directly convert it from Word to PDF and make the PDF instead of installing the LaTeX and having this option over here. You can make a Word document and then convert it into PDF. So for your second assignment, you will be using this, and you will be practicing correlations, how to do box plots, because in the last class, if you remember, we did learn about correlations and box plots. So we are going to practice that, and also Nitar. So today is going to be a short session. I just wanted to complete this that I've been postponing for a while, and this is something important, and hope it was helpful. Any questions, anybody?